Hi, Kathryn here with Circle Art Designs. Today on the work table, I will be working with some beads from the February Bargain Bead Box. If you've been with me for very long, you'll know that a lot of times I have to stop before I've used all the beads because I'm very slow at working and I always am behind everyone else. But I always put them in my stash with a note that I'm going to pull them out and work on them at another time. So today we will be making a hoop pendant and earrings with the Malaysian Jade Dark Red beads. These are a crystal bead and the 18 karat gold plated cubic zirconia drops. So let's turn our eyes to the table. So as always, whenever we first turn our eyes to my workspace, I see this beautiful mat that says Simply Grateful. What a wonderful way to live your life. And as I was thinking today on Simply Grateful, I am simply grateful for my little dog, Charlie. He's a Chihuahua, which is Chihuahua Basenji. He was a stray. He'd been a street dog. And so even after the last 8 months, if you walk around the corner too quickly or you get up too quickly, it frightens him and he'll run away and hide behind something. And then his brain kicks in and he goes, "Oh yes, they're not here to hurt me." And he comes back out. I think I'm kind of like that with the Lord. I've known him for most of my life, and yet I startle easily and run away. And then I stop and I think, oh yes, he is here to help me, not to hurt me. And I'm so thankful for that. I am truly, simply grateful to be his daughter. How about you? All right, let's turn our eyes to the mat. Okay, before we get started with our supply photo, I wanted to make a correction. I was thinking about our other little dog. He's been with us 8 weeks. Charlie has actually been with us now for almost 3 months. So as we get started with the supplies we need to make this necklace and earrings, if you don't have exactly what I have, you don't have anything left over from that February Bargain Bead Box, just pull out like things. And remember, I will be doing a jewelry drop sometime this weekend of the pieces I have made, and I'll put them up in the shop at circleartdesigns.net. All right, we're starting out at the very top of our supply photo, and you will see a gold chain here. This is not gold plated. It is just a gold tone chain, but it is a beautiful stainless steel chain, and I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. Again, going on around to the left, you will see this beautiful, fun little thing that I don't get to use as often as I wish I could. But these are called quick lock connectors. And they kind of look like peanuts. And actually, the lady who showed me how to use them, that's what she called them, peanuts. I picked this up off of Amazon. I got it in gold, silver, bronze, and brass, I think, maybe gun barrel. There were 4 different colors, but this is a quick link connector, and we will be using that instead of a bell today. On down, you will see both eye pins and head pins. You will need those. Going on around, you will see a circle. This is a hoop. It is a closed hoop. It does not open, and the diameter is about 1 inch. And this is from my own stash, and I picked it up at a shop in our area, but you can find these in other jewelry places, and I believe you can also find something similar on Amazon. Now down at the bottom, directly down from that closed hoop, you will find an 18 karat, and I forgot to put the word It's not completely 18 karat gold. It's 18 karat gold plated, and it's a cubic zirconia drops. And these were also left over from that February Bargain Bead Box. And then I will be using the Malaysian Jade and the 6x4mm dark red, and this is dyed quartz. And it's also from the February Bargain Bead Box. You'll need jump rings. I'm going to use 4mm, but 4 or 5mm for this will be perfect. You will also need a clasp. I did not put that on there. I will be using a lobster claw clasp and a 5mm jump ring. Then off to the side, although it has a picture of its own, you will see the things that I'm going to use for the earrings themselves. But we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, let's get started. So we're going to start out by building the pendant itself. We're going to be using, I forgot to say, it was on the supply, but I forgot to tell you, we're going to be using the daisy spacers as well. This is a 3 size spacer that I got off Amazon. I'll be using the smallest. They run about 4mm. We'll put on a daisy spacer. We'll put on that Malaysian Jade and Dark Red, a daisy spacer, another of the Malaysian Jade, then another daisy. And I stopped there, but I can guarantee that that's too short for the dangles on this pendant. So I'm going to go ahead and put on another one and another spacer. We'll do one more and a spacer. And that gives you a total of 4 on one of the dangles. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to build the next one. And that will be a daisy, a Malaysian Jade, a daisy, a Malaysian Jade, and so on until you get all the way up to 5. So we'll have one that has 4 on it and one that has 5 beads on them. And that is going to be the dangle for this pendant. And here I am laying it out to make sure that I like that. So we're going to go ahead and pull this. And that, if you notice, it's just not quite enough. So what I ended up doing is I ended up going with 4 on one and 5 on the other. So for the next section, we're going to use our looper. When you're using a looper, go ahead and put it across the jaws, butt the bead right up against the edge, mash it, it'll be straight, then turn it down, and you should have a beautiful little question mark. Again, right up against the edge of the jaws, mash it back, and it gives you a question mark. I love loopers. I use them on everything. Now then, taking the 4 count, I'm going to go ahead and use my straight nose pliers, and I'm going to bring the edge of that loop down to where it touches the wire for the component. And then I'm going to bring it back a little bit so that it's sitting right over the component. And this loop will be ready to have the cubic zirconias added to the bottom. Again, we're going to drop it, and we're going to close it with our straight nose pliers, holding it, twisting it, making sure that it is in the same plane. This is really important whenever you're doing dangles that you're going to do a 2-step dangle with, because you want both of your pieces to be going the same direction. So when you're closing your loops, and I'm sure I said head pins, but I should have said eye pins for these 2 loops, because you want to loop on both ends. And make sure that when you look at them, that they're in the same plane. Because now at the bottom of that eye pin, I'm going to go ahead and add these beautiful cubic zirconia drops, making this a 2-step dangle. I love 2-step dangles. I have done as many as a 3-step dangle, but they're not my favorite. 2-step dangles are my favorite. So I've opened my jump ring with 2 sets of chain nose pliers and just a twist of one side, holding the other side steady. I put on my cubic zirconia, then I'm putting on my component, and then I will close it up, reversing, just moving one wrist, holding the other one steady, and making sure that it is actually closed by filling the top. Now, if you notice my fingernails, I did not get them done. And I didn't think about getting them done till I actually started editing this. And I went, uh-oh, I forgot to do anything with my fingernail polish. So just bear with me. I try to keep it up. But you know, life happens. Again, a twist of the wrist to open it up. Put on your cubic zirconias. Go ahead and put on your component and twisting one side. Feel the top. Make sure that jump ring is closed. And you have got the 2 dangles for this little bitty loop pendant done. Now you may notice here that I am going ahead and rolling a bead. Yeah, I put one bead on and I'm taking with my straight nose pliers teeny tiny little turns until I touch the bead, and I'm going to put it right between these dangles. Now the reason I did this is because I was thinking I needed something to separate the dangles, but I did not. And so I will use this in something else later on in the video. But we're going to, again, look at twisting of the wrist, opening that jump ring, and putting that little charm on. As I said, this isn't in the finished piece. But the really cool thing about this is if you wanted to put the cubic zirconias right onto the hoop and add these beautiful little beads as charms, that would be lovely too if you wanted a shorter style necklace. But again, I've opened my jump ring, I've put on one component, then I am closing up the jump ring after I get that component on the loop, and I have that little bitty bead charm right in the middle. And we're going to open it up again with a twist of one side of your wrist. We're going to put the component on, and then we're going to add that to the other side of the hoop, keeping the bead charm in the middle. Now then, let me show you what this looks like. It looks just like this, but this is the problem. When you open that up, where does that bead go? It goes to the back. If you put it there, it still goes to the back. And so I went, I don't think I like this. So, but if you do, leave it on. I just knew that for me, the fact that every time I wore this necklace, that little bead charm was going to go to the back, made me slightly crazy. So I'm taking it off here, and I will just use the two-step dangles, and it looks really pretty. And what I was afraid was going to happen, where they whammed into each other and one got lost, it did not. Now here I have a 3 that I looked at. I thought, do I really want to put on a 3? No, maybe I want to put a 4 on the other side. And I would have put on another one if I had had another cubic zirconia. But the name of the game is keep it balanced. And so now I'm going to put on my little peanut, the quick link connectors. I'm only going to close one side. Make sure that you close the side you close it on the side that is the back of your pendant. Now let's get this back on. I have dropped it twice. I may drop it again before this is all over with. Okay, very carefully. I'm using my round nose, but it doesn't really matter as long as they're smooth on the inside and will not scar your jewelry. And I've just closed the single loop on the bottom of this connector, this little peanut. And the reason I only close that is because I'm going to add it into a link when I get my component and my necklace done. So now I show you, it's going to hang just like that. Isn't that pretty? I think that is just lovely. And this cubic zirconia that they have, it has a clear and it has a slightly champagne and then the red. But I am making a component chain as opposed to just putting it on a simple chain. You can put it on a simple chain, but I love component chains. I like the way they tie everything in together. So I'm setting up my beads now to go ahead and make the components for this chain. I'll see you in just a moment. So would you take a moment and like and subscribe to this channel? And if you would leave a comment, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. So for component number 2, which we will be using with the chain, remember this is a very delicate piece because we are only using a 1-inch diameter hoop. So what I'm going to do, at first I tried daisy spacer, bead, daisy spacer, bead, daisy spacer, just like that. But then I decided, well, what if I did something different? What if I did the bead, 1 daisy spacer in the bead, because I am going to have a lot of gold in this chain, and I don't want to overpower those beautiful red Malaysian jade beads. So I'm going to go with the Malaysian jade, 1 daisy spacer, and the Malaysian jade. And I am going to need a total of 6 of these. Again, for the component number 2, bead, spacer, bead will all go on eye pins. One of the things you want to make sure of is that your eye pin at the bottom is closed. One of my biggest mistakes when I first started out doing jewelry was assuming that if it was in the package with a circle, whether it was a jump ring or an eye pin or anything else that might have a circle, that it was closed because after all, it was factory made. And I think that is a mistake that a lot of beginning jewelry makers make. But always check your bottom loops. Now I'm using the looper. I mashed it. It was straight. I pushed it back. It made a question mark, and I have a nice little loop that I'll finish closing off with my straight nose pliers. And as I said, I'm going to need 6 of those. Now, if you don't want a lot of play in your components, it's really important that you push the bead from the bottom, whether it is an eye pin or a head pin, push it in the bottom. Make sure that it's tight up against the side of your looper so you don't get a lot of play in your loop. If it doesn't bother you, well, that's fine. But I don't want play. I want mine to move as one single unit. The other thing that's really, really important is always make sure when you mash that, before you mash it, that the loop you're making at the top is in the same plane as the loop you're making in the bottom. Now I'm going through and I'm closing off all of these eye pins. I did check the eye pins before I started putting beads on them, but I will check them again as I'm closing the top. I'll check the bottom, and then one last time, because I wear glasses, I will make sure that these eye pins are closed when I put them on the chain. Now for this, as I said, I want all these beads to meet at the bottom. I'm not looking for a chain that will have beads all the way up. I want everything to be focused on this closed hoop pendant. So I am only using 4 links to go between my component number 2s. The reason I am doing that between component 2s is because I'm also going to add in a little 4mm round jump ring. That will bring me to a total of 6. And with 6, I am looking at about a 1/2 inch between each of these components. You're going to need 6 of these. I'm sorry, you're going to need 4 of these. And then we will put a longer chain on the bottom. Now the chain, in the middle. The chain in the middle, since I have 6, I will cut the chain in the middle that this loop pendant is going to hang on at 9. And I will count off 3. I will add my pendant and then I'll count off 3 again. So I'm lining it up. I'm a big fan of laying it out before you get started so I have no surprises, and that's what I'm doing here. So I've laid out component, chain, component, chain, component. On one end of those, I will add my extra chain, and on the other end, I will add the longer chain to join the 2 sides of the necklaces in the middle of the necklace. So here I've opened my jump ring. I put on my chain first, and then I go ahead and put on my component, holding it between 2 chain nose pliers. I close it and feel to make sure there's no rough spots. I say this all the time, but if you feel a rough spot, it is really not closed. I do not care that it looks closed as best you can see. If it's rough, it's not closed. Oh, look at that. My little grip fell off or fell down. All right, again, holding it between 2 chain nose pliers, twist one wrist, open it up, put on your chain that you just put a component on, and then you'll go ahead and put on your next component. Making sure that the chain is not twisted. That's one of the things you really have to look at, is making sure your chain is not twisted. And there are the first 2 components. Now then, we'll do it one more time. We'll open up this jump ring with the twist of one wrist. Then we'll put on our chain. And this is a new chain, and it's going right in the bottom of that second component. Chain component, chain component. Consistency is the key. So we have one more chaining component to put on, and we will have one side of the bottom ready for the center of the necklace, and then we'll just have the other side to do. So again, it is opening up your jump ring, making sure your chain is not twisted before you go ahead and put on your chain and your third component. Going, where did I set that down? I was playing with it. Now I've lost it. Alrighty, there it is. So we're going to go ahead and put the jump ring on, and we're going to get our last component on, and that makes it ready for the center of the necklace on one end and the added chain on the other. And then we just have the center. I'm showing you that's the center with 9, and then we have to make the other side. All right, let's go ahead and open up a jump ring, and let's put on the middle section of the part of the middle of the necklace, that 9-piece link. So I've opened up the jump ring and I've put the 9-piece link on, and I am making sure that there is room. I'm making sure that it was close by feeling it, and then through the magic of video, the other side is done, and we're ready to go ahead and put on our pendant. So now that we have both sections of the lower part of our necklace done, we want to join them with that 9 link. We're going to take I'm counting off to make sure it's not twisted, and I really do have 9 links, and yes, I do. So I'm going to go ahead and open my jump ring with between 2 chain nose pliers, or a chain and a curve, and with a twist of the wrist, I will open it up. Again, I will put on my chain. I'm trying not to, well, I dropped it, so it doesn't matter. I tried I try not to get it twisted. So now I'm looking at it going, yes, I did twist this. Let's lay this out again and give it another shot. Once you get it done, the twisting is not something you have to really worry about. But when you're putting it together, it's very important that you don't twist that chain up. So without lifting it too much, I had got it on the jump ring, and now I'm putting on the other side of the necklace, making sure that once I get this closed, that jump ring is secure. And I'll feel the top of it just like that. There was no rough spots. And this is the center of your necklace. Isn't that pretty? So I'm counting it out. I'm finding out where the middle one is. And I'm going to put the peanut on it. I'll put the peanut onto the chain. And then I'm going to flip it to the back. And I'm going to close it with my chain nose pliers. And it's just a mash down till it completely touches. And there you have it. That peanut is secure on both pieces. Isn't that lovely? I just think that's gorgeous. I love these little peanut connectors, I guess, but they're called quick connectors, but I just love them. I think they're delicate and beautiful, and I wish I remembered to use them more often. All right, now that I have measured out how much chain I want on either end of my necklace. And this will vary for each person depending on what kind of chain they're using and how much space they're putting between their components. The first thing I've done is I put that little charm that I made in the beginning right on the end of my extender chain, because since this is going up in the shop, I want people to have a little leeway as how long they want to use it. And it's just added to the extender chain on the bottom. Now then, I am adding my chain to the middle part of my necklace with a jump ring, just like that. All the other jump rings that we've done, making sure it's closed, and mine was not. It was rough. And so I am playing with it here to make sure those ends really meet. And there you go. And I used 6 inches on either side of my necklace, because once I measured, in order to get to 26, which is where I wanted this necklace to sit, I needed 6 inches on each side. Again, opening it with a twist of the wrist, I'm adding the component this time because I do not want it to be twisted, and then I am adding the chain. It says, come on, Kathryn, you can do this. It says, maybe not. Oh, but I can. Do you ever get so focused on getting something finished that you go, oh, wait a minute, I'm probably more tired than I realized. And then whenever I looked, lo and behold, the end was not closed on that component. And so I had to close the end and then put the jump ring in and then try again. So this time I'm going to put that chain on first, which is what I always do anyway, and then put the component on. Then holding on to the jump ring, I'm going to go ahead and close it and make sure it's really closed. Now, I haven't mentioned it in this video, but when you're using chain nose pliers or curved nose, whatever pliers you're using, you need to feel the inside, and if they have little ridges on them, you do not want to use those on your jewelry. They will scratch your jewelry when you're making it. One thing you can do is you can take masking tape or maybe duct tape, but I use masking tape on old pliers, and I put a couple of rounds of masking tape on the inside so that the ridges do not ruin this the chain. And you would want to do that whether you were using a cheap chain or the best chain you could buy. You just do not want to scratch any of your components. You want it to look beautiful when you wear it, or when you sell it, or when you give it to someone as a gift. Do the very best that you can do, because it says something about you and your work and how much you love what you do. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on the clasp on the bottom I have put on my lobster claw clasp. Sorry, I had the picture, but not the word. And then I'm going to open up my jump ring again, and I'm going to put that extender chain on it. I tell you what, some of these jump rings, I look at them and I go, they are so lapped over, I will never get them to fit correctly. So to put on the extender chain with that beautiful little bead that we did at the beginning. Remember the bead that I made, and I was going to try a bead charm on it and didn't like it, and I said, oh, we'll use that. Well, this is what we're using it for. We're finishing off the extender chain. I love it when I can finish off the extender chain. That way my jewelry is as lovely going as it is coming. Isn't that a nice way to think of things? Don't you wish we all thought of things like that? That we would be as nice and as grace-filled going towards someone, and they would think the same thing about us as we were leaving. And here is the finished product. Now then, on to the earrings. Now for the earrings, we will be using the same Malaysian Jades. I know they look silver in this, but they're really gold. And we will use, it's the lighting, we will use the same hoops. This time we will be using head pins. I'm using lever backs, and I will be using jump rings for this. So let's get started with the matching earrings. There you go. I turned the lighting down some. I went, it looks silver. So for this, remember when we were playing with the different ways we wanted these beads to lay in components? I am making the component just like I did for the dangles, only this time it will be that 3-bead dangle. It will start with a daisy. It will end with a daisy spacer and daisy spacers in between each one. Now then, once you do that, you're going to need one for each of your earrings. And I am also going to use, to tie in with the necklace back, another of these little bead charms. I'm using a 24 gauge wire with head pin, and it has the little ball on the end of it to dress it up, and holding it with my straight nose pliers with nothing hanging out of the top. I just make little twists till I get all the way down to the bead. Now then, I'm going to open up my jump ring just like this. I'm going to put on my dangle, then I'm going to put on my hoop, and then I'm going to close it up because I want my charm to hang from the top and my dangle to hang from the bottom. So now I'm going to open up another one of my jump rings after I quit playing with them to see which one I like better. Once I get it opened with a twist of the wrist, I'm going to put on my charm, and then I'm going to put on my hoop, and then I'm going to put on my lever back. And the reason I do it this way is I want the dangle to hang behind the hoop. If you want your dangle to hang in front of the hoop, then put on your hoop, your charm, and then your lever back. It's the order in which you put it on the jump ring. Remember when I've said always be consistent with your order, because when it matters, you will have that habit made. Well, this is when it matters. Do you want your top charm to hang behind the hoop, or do you want your top charm to hang in front of the hoop? Depending on how you want it to be done, you have to put it in that order. I found this out one time whenever I was doing a set I called earrings. And this was several years ago, not the one recently. And I got my earrings finished and I laid them down and they looked different. And I went, how can they look different? I have the exact same things on both earrings. I'm sorry, I've jumped out of the picture. And then I realized it was because I had not put them in the same order. And I wanted these to be in the same order. And through the magic of video, I have both of them done. Now, aren't those pretty? I just love those. Let's see if we can't see them better on the white. And so, again, these are the loops with the charms hanging in from behind the loop. I'm putting them facing each other so you can tell that they are just like that in a single dangle, and they make a perfect match for this lovely, delicate Malaysian Jade Dark Red quartz necklace. I love them. Thank you so much for joining me on this beading adventure today. I've had so much fun. Isn't this a beautiful set? Like I said, I will be putting this up in the shop. I'm going to do a shop drop this week. Probably on Saturday, I will make sure, and on community, I will send out a message when I do that. But I just love this beautiful little set. It's so delicate. It's such a statement piece, and it's so becoming on the neck. Isn't that pretty? It really is. Again, thank you for joining me today. I hope you've had some fun. I hope you've learned something new. I hope that you have an amazing beading adventure of your own. And I will see you next week. God bless you. God bless your weekend. May you be refreshed. May you find joy and peace this weekend in all that you do. And I will see you on Monday. God bless. Kathryn, circleartdesigns.net. Bye, y'all.